Senior Citizens Forum. I'm your host, Janice Wood, and the Senior Citizens Forum is being sponsored by Benefits for You 2 Insurance Services, where they specialize in Medicare Advantage plans, Medicare supplemental plans, and prescription drug plans. And Medicare is for people over the age of 65 and for younger people who happen to qualify for Medicare. Today I'm here with my guest, Venus Worthen, and Venus was my regional
sales
director at my brokerage group that I'm part of, and she's no longer with them, but we have stayed in contact.
Absolutely. I
have to find out what's happening with her family. She has a cute little 2-year-old and 2 daughters that are older.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And they're growing very fast.
And they always grow fast, along with their opinions.
Absolutely. That is very true.
Right. So that's really good. But Venus has been in the Medicare world since 2006.
Yes.
She started with I'm going to call United Healthcare, but was with another group that became part of United Healthcare. And then she moved into another group called Alignment Insurance, Health Insurance. And then she went over to Applied General Agency, which is the brokerage group that I'm part of. And now she's with Eminent Help in the Covina area.
Yes, yes, I am.
Of Los Angeles County, in case you're watching, okay? And so she has a real vast knowledge of health insurances besides Medicare insurances. She has vast experience working with a medical group now. And she and I have both had the experience of people not understanding what the difference is between a medical group and a health insurance company.
Yes, absolutely. People get very confused between the two. They think that they're one and the same, or they confuse what the medical group is for the health insurance itself when it's 2 completely separate entities.
And also, we're going to touch a little bit upon that there's some medical groups have their own hospitals and they have their own insurances.
They do.
So we'll talk a little bit about that too, just to try to get that, have you feel more comfortable with what it was. Now I know last weekend I met with some clients and they were part of a medical group that was bought out by another large medical group.
That happens quite a bit.
Right. Happened a lot, especially in the Southern California area.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And they were getting confused because one of them was, remember, I'm going to use the name, Providence, which St. Jude's, which before was just St. Jude's, or the other member of the family was a member of Providence, St. Joseph's. And that's a medical group. But they're still under one umbrella.
They are. Yeah, so it does become very confusing because, like you mentioned, people have, a few different names that they have to familiarize themselves with when they get signed up for health insurance. So it's not just the health insurance plan that they have, but then they are also assigned to a medical group. And more likely than not, that's going to be a different name in a different company, even though yes, in this market, there are some that are all one and the same. For the most part, the majority of them are 2 separate entities. There'll be the health insurance plan, and that's what administers the benefits. They share with you what it is that's covered. They let you know what your co-payments are. They basically outline what coverage it is that you have to make sure that you are insured for those things.
Okay, so you have to look at the insurance company as being somewhat that they pay for your medical service.
Absolutely. Whereas the medical group or the IPA that you're assigned to, that is where you're receiving all of your services. So that is your primary doctor, your specialist. That is what lets you know what facilities you could go to as far as labs, urgent care. That's how you would receive your healthcare services. The health insurance plan, the health plan is what gives you the benefits. That's what dictates the co-pays and what types of procedures are covered, versus the medical group is what consists of your doctors, your hospitals, your specialists, and provides you the access to care that you're going to receive. And that makes a big difference, because these insurance plans, they'll cover an entire county, sometimes multiple counties with the same benefits. But how you receive your health care and what provides you that access to care is dependent on the medical group that you're assigned to. And some medical groups are very large, cover large areas, and you can go cross-county or to multiple different counties to seek services. Whereas there's others that might be centralized or focused on a specific region or certain geography, and the way that they've set up their benefits is the way they set up their services is in such a way that you would receive your access to healthcare close to home.
Close to home. Right, because most people like to go to the doctor close to home.
Yeah.
Which is real important, that convenience.
It's important, it's convenient, it gives you timely access to your health care. I mean, think about it. When you're not feeling well, do you want to drive 30 miles to go see a specialist? Or if you have to seek ongoing treatment for something that could be, a terminal illness, do you want to continue to have to go, so many miles to be able to have that treatment on a daily, weekly basis? And we think about our family, right? Our loved ones. I'm the generation that they call the sandwich generation, right? Because my son is 2 years old, my mother is a senior, and so I'm taking care of a toddler and a senior, and both who need my full time and attention. And being able to have access to healthcare that's close to home is very helpful, because I'm also a full-time working mom. So I need to help my mom next week to make sure that she gets to her pre-op appointment, make sure she gets her labs done, make sure all of those things get done. If I had to drive 30, 40 miles across LA County, that would take me a couple hours. Folks know in this area that traffic is horrible. So having access to healthcare that's close to home means that if she goes to the hospital, if something were to happen and I need to get to her, that I don't have to drive cross county to be able to get to my mom if she's in the hospital, or if God forbid something happens to her. And knowing that gives me peace of mind, because I know that any services that she seeks are going to be close to home, and I can help her to get to those locations, because she doesn't drive anymore.
Yeah, no, that happens a lot, because I know when I go to the doctor, because I'm a senior citizen, my husband goes with me all the time.
Right. And there's often times that does happen, especially when we're feeling sick. Somebody that we love, or a caregiver, or somebody that we're close to, helps us to get to those places.
Right. But really what most important is that you know that medical group is providing you a service.
Absolutely.
Okay. So may it be x-rays, may it be sitting and talking to the doctor, and you could talk to the doctor now on the phone or through video. Yes. Okay. But it's a service where the insurance is paying for it.
Right. Absolutely. The insurance, you always have to keep in mind that when you sign up for an insurance plan, and you've been a broker, so when you go over co-payments and things like that with your clients, you're identifying their needs. You're identifying, maybe what income level that they might have, and you're trying to find them a health insurance plan that's going to cover the needs that they have, depending on, what ailments they may have, depending on their income, depending on their access, and what they're eligible for. You help to find them the insurance plan that's going to best fit their needs.
We do that. Yeah, that's very important, and it's also something that I've expressed over the years on the Senior Citizens Forum, that when it comes to health insurance, it's so important that you know what your benefits are.
Yes.
And what those benefits cover. So if you have a co-payment or a co-insurance, And a co-payment is always a flat fee.
Right.
A co-insurance is a percentage. And you want to pay attention to that, because if you have $1,000 bill on a co-insurance, now you're going to have to pay $200 of that.
Right.
And the insurance company, if it's 80%, is going to pay their 80% of that copay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And it's just, I talk about this all the time, how important it is, and how important it is to know how that insurance plan works with your medical group.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, that's very important, because different insurance plans are contracted with these various different medical groups. Not all insurance plans are contracted with all medical groups. That's something that you have to...
Well, let me go back a little bit. Okay, I want to go back. Insurance company. Let's use the word insurance company, because I find now that within an insurance company, they can have, let's say, 20 different plans.
Yes.
Okay? And within those 20 different plans, it doesn't mean that the medical group or the provider is contracted within.
Yes.
When I'm talking provider, I'm talking your primary care doctor.
Yes.
Or your specialist.
Yes.
Okay? So we want to make sure that they're contracted with the group for that specific plan.
Yes.
I can give an example of diabetes. Many of the different insurance companies have diabetes plans. We're talking the Medicare world, okay?
Yes.
With the Medicare Advantage plan.
Yes.
But I can go to one medical group in the area, and they may not take that particular plan. Okay? Where they may take a heart plan.
Yes.
Okay?
Right.
So it's important to know that.
Yes. Yes. And it's important to, so what I've always said is that, you know, I have experience in health insurance. I've been on the health insurance side. I've worked for the health insurance companies. I'm familiar with health plans. I'm familiar with those benefits. Your everyday person isn't necessarily familiar with that. I'll give the example of taxes. I do not know the first thing about doing my own taxes, nor do I try to. So it's always very important to find a trusted source that is a subject matter expert. And when it comes to insurance, insurance is something that is very complicated to understand for many people. And so it's important to connect with somebody that is familiar with the health insurance plans, that is familiar with specifically what is in your area, because health plans do vary from county to county, and making sure that you're looking at what plans are available in your area is where it starts. So in my opinion, I don't want necessarily every person to have to know every intricacy, every in and out about a health insurance plan. It's very difficult, but it's important to know somebody that does, and go to that subject matter expert and share with them all of your needs, share with them your wants as well. And don't hold back. You know, if you're suffering from a certain ailment, if there is something that you have that's in mind, if you've seen something or have heard about something, bring that up. But it's important to have somebody that you work closely with. So as those benefits change, as they do year after year, they're educated on those and they can share those with you. Because as Janice mentioned, each health insurance company does have multiple different plans. And here in Southern California, one company alone can have 10, 15 different health insurance plans or more that they offer. And those health insurance plans are something that's very important, because they're going to be customized to a person's needs. You mentioned something that might be for somebody who's diabetic. There's other companies that have plans for somebody that might have congestive heart failure, somebody that might be of the low income status, to help with those things. So there are benefits in place with those health plans to fit people's needs. That's one part. But that second part is equally as important. And that second part is finding the right medical group. And you start that by looking again at what is available in your area, who it is that you might be assigned to as far as a primary care doctor. And your primary care doctor might have more than one medical group that they are contracted with. And how do I choose? How do I pick which medical group it is that I should be a part of when my doctor is contracted with 5, 10 medical groups in the area? And that's where you start to kind of drill down to what type of care will I receive by being with that medical group.
There's so much here that you're touching
So
on.
much.
It's just so much. It's not easy. It's not complicated. I was telling Venus last week, I was trying to get some statistics. You know, how do people understand the medical care in the United States? And it was saying 71% of people within the United States don't understand how this works. So when we're talking medical care, your medical care is your medical group.
Yes.
Okay? Your medical care is your health insurance plan. Okay? And we haven't even broken it down farther, which we're going to do a little bit in a few minutes, because we're talking about it. I find that as an agent, each year it gets a little bit more complicated. And it's very concerning. And I know from talking with my clients that they're confused by it.
And rightfully so. I mean, how many times have we heard when a person is, you know, say for example, you've signed them up with a certain insurance plan and you've assigned them to a doctor and you found the right medical group for what they need. And then couple months down the line, mid-year, they get a new card with a new name on it, a new medical group. What does that mean? Where did that come from? And that's something that happens commonly.
I mean, now I have, my Medicare insurance comes through a large government, okay? Local municipality. And I signed up with for my plan, and in January, at the end of January, I got where my medical group no longer is going to be part of their network of doctors. So I'm introducing a new word to everybody. That contract's not there. And I'm going, wait a second, I could have made the change to something else.
Right.
But I have this crazy plan not crazy, I'm thankful for it every day, that doesn't matter if I stay in or out of network. I don't have to pay anything.
And that's great that you have that.
But not everybody
does. Not everybody does.
No.
And so it does make a big difference. And, you know, we had a similar experience. And, you know, I go back to my mom because that's something that I am helping with day in and day out. I've been doing this 20 plus years, and we enrolled her with a really good, solid local insurance company. I don't know if we can say names on here, but it's a very reputable company that's here in Southern California, and she's been with them for some time. And last year she received a letter, and they had switched from one medical group over to a different one. Why? Because her doctor had changed the way that they were affiliated with the plan. And you mentioned network. So that's something that we use.
Well, the word network really is, I want to say, the medical group. Right. I don't know how else to break it down, but to call it a medical group. But when you look at your insurance, it will talk about in-network or out-of-network. So if you have, and I don't want to get into it right now, but I guess I am, all right? If you have what they call an HMO, you want to give us the definition?
Health Managing Organization.
Okay.
So you're assigned to a primary care doctor.
Right.
And that primary care doctor pretty much dictates kind of the network, if you would, that you have access to. And that network would consist of your, not just the primary doctor, but your specialist, any referrals that you might need to any other doctors, facilities, procedures that need to be done. We're talking about labs, imaging, x-rays.
Yeah.
Even things as simple as, you know, some outpatient procedures or things like that. All of that would be considered the network that you have. The
network, okay. And then you hear the word out of network, which I'm going to talk about after we come back from our break, okay? But right now, in network, you have your primary care doctor that is going to give you your referrals.
Yes.
Okay? And referrals are something that I've been finding is real important to people.
Absolutely.
Because I know in our area, sometimes to get in to see a doctor takes forever.
It can. It can take quite some time. And that's something that's very important in finding the right medical group, is that you have timely access to your providers.
Yes.
Makes all the difference.
So, well, what I'm going to do right now, I have to take a break for our sponsors.
Okay.
And we're going to be back, and we're going to continue talking with Venus. And this just is such an important subject. She and I know about it, how important it is, because we work with people in this area all the time. So we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Here at Benefits for You Too Insurance Services, we believe knowledge is power when it comes to selecting the correct healthcare and Medicare insurance. Please contact us at healthcareoptions@benefitsforyou2.com or call us at 310-245-0332.
Hi, welcome back to a Senior Citizens Forum. I'm again Janice Wood, your host, and I'm here with Venus from Eminent Health.
Yes.
And I've known Venus for several years because she used to be my regional manager for Applied General Agency, where I am a broker out of.
Yes.
Okay. And I wouldn't let her go, so she's back with me today, okay? And I've been having a good time, so I don't know about her.
Yeah.
This has been fun. But earlier we were been talking about what the difference is between a health insurance carrier and a medical group, and we talked real quickly that medical group is somebody that you get your services from.
Yes.
That insurance carrier pays for that,
right,
or they pay a portion of that.
Right.
We talked about what an HMO was, which is becoming more and more popular.
It is.
Yeah.
As networks grow, as areas develop, there's more access to care, more specialists, broader network in areas where a PPO isn't necessarily always needed, because you have network adequacy in the market that can provide coverage.
Real quick and talk about what is a PPO, and it stands for a provider organization. Okay, and they also have networks of doctors.
They do. They do.
And that's real important to know, because people think, I think before the pandemic, we could go with the PPO anywhere I wanted to go. That's what I hear.
That's the thought behind it.
That's
not the.
But since the pandemic, it's not quite that way anymore. It's more like you have a PPO, and I've been finding as the insurance agent, or even as a patient, that I can't go everywhere I want to go.
Right.
Not everybody takes the PPO.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So with the PPO, there is, there's two sides to a PPO, and many people do have that notion, is that they can go, anywhere. It gives them all of the freedom that they're looking for. But depending on the person and depending on the location, that's not always, it's not always to their benefit. So PPOs do have an in-network set of doctors, so that's when you're going to have your lower co-payments, your lower co-insurance, and you have to really take a look at what's considered in-network and see if your doctors are a part of that, if the specialists and facilities you're going to be seeing are all considered in-network. And then your options for out-of-network, that's where there's a lot of gray area and things tend to change.
Right. So one of the things that we're talking about with the doctors, and we're going to get to that out of network in a second, okay, is just because each doctor I have been finding has to have their own separate contract with the PPO plan.
Right.
Okay. So it's not the medical group that gets that contract. It may change next year, because things change quickly in the medical field.
Every year things are changing.
Every single solitary year. So what it was 2 years ago may not be what it is today. What it was 6 months ago, it may not be what it is today. Because I have the experience right now. My medical group takes PPO, but all of a sudden they're not taking my insurance carrier, or my insurance plan all of a sudden isn't taking them in network, they will take them out of network.
Right. And that's something that happens too. It's the way that they, the doctor has contracted to be able to accept that plan. And it can change. And changing from an in-network status to an out-of-network status can mean a huge difference for the beneficiary, you know, for the person assigned to that plan, because that can mean a huge difference in the out-of-pocket cost that they will experience, not only for the primary, but for any of the services that are rendered from what that primary care doctor might recommend that they do. Out of network means more money out of pocket.
Okay, so remember, if you listen to us earlier, we talked about out of network is always going to be a co-insurance. A co-insurance is a percentage.
Right.
Okay, so it may say that you pay 20%. It may say you pay 50%.
It just depends.
Okay.
It just depends on what it is that the benefit is and what it is that, what service it is that you might be seeking. So a co-insurance is going to be a percentage of, and you always want to look at what your benefits are and see how much it is that you would be responsible to pay on a co-insurance. There's very few things that would be a co-payment. Most of those things would be a percentage. And again, in-network is always going to be the lower cost sharing, whereas out-of-network is going to be a higher percentage that you have to pay.
So I have a question for you. Okay, so I have, let's say, a PPO, and my doctor is in the network, but now my doctor wants to send me to a specialist out of network, and I'm going to have to pay that co-insurance. All right, I know with an HMO, if I'm sent out of network, the medical group and the plan are going to pay for it.
Right.
But now I still have to pay for that out of network. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
You are responsible for that co-insurance. You are responsible for anything that is going to be considered in-network or out-of-network. But again, if your doctor is considered in-network and they send you to somebody and they are not in-network, you have to check if they are considered out-of-network, if they're willing to accept that plan, and if they are, you're going to pay that percentage.
You're good. Absolutely. So it's real important. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier in the show. You have to know your benefits.
Yes.
It's so important to know your benefits. And we're going to be, there's another show that we're going to, actually, the show is already on YouTube and on Facebook and on Roku and several other destinations where we're going to talk about, do you have to pay that medical bill?
Oh, that's a great topic.
Yeah. So that's going to be shown before this.
Okay.
So that's a great topic where we really push knowing those benefits. And that's what we're talking about here. Part of knowing those benefits is knowing what your co-payments are, what your co-insurance are. And then I'm going to bring in other little words. Know what your deductible is and knowing what your maximum out of pocket is. It's real important.
It is.
And I just stress that enough, that how important knowing your benefits are.
Yes, and I'll go back to something that I've shared for years, which is, again, always having that trusted source. So number one, having your subject matter expert that can help you with your health plan. You know, you can call your health plan directly and talk to customer service and try and figure things out. But there's true value in having a broker, a dedicated person that is assigned to you. And not just that, but that they're local to your market, local to the area that you live in, that they are working and servicing that community that you live in so that they know and understand the intricacies of that specific region, because things change from one area to another and your access to healthcare changes. And, you know, going back to what we were talking about earlier, the medical group, really knowing who your medical group is, being familiar with them, and 9 out of 10 times, most medical groups have now created a team, like we've done here, where we have specific patient advocates, or they'll call them patient liaisons, or they'll be educators, or there's a person, somebody that is dedicated to the patient population to help you to navigate the healthcare system. We know that it's complicated. You know, folks like us that have been doing this for a long time, we've voiced our opinions, you know, over the years in sharing with them, especially for the Medicare population, who are seniors, who are folks that are disabled, that it's important to have somebody that they can go to help them to navigate the healthcare system.
And one of the things, because this particular show is shown in all 50 states, if you contact me, I know how to get you a broker that will be in your area.
Yes.
Because my brokerage group is in all 50 states.
Yes.
So I am able to help you. And when we're talking about broker, we're talking about someone who represents more than one health insurance company.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely.
We're not captured agents to one specific insurance company. So as a broker, I know my area that I'm in. I know exactly which plans are out there. I could sit there with spouses, and spouses can have completely different health conditions, and they need different types of plans.
Yes.
So you don't know, and they may be in a different plan than their spouse.
Right.
They could be in a different medical group than their spouse because of their medical conditions.
Right.
And so it's real important, and a broker will be able to help you with that.
Yes.
Very hands-on. It's time to beat scammers and hackers with Arash. Okay. Hi, Arash.
Again, good to see
Okay. Well, we've been talking about passwords in our past weekly shows.
Definitely.
So let's talk more about it and
For sure.
talk about.
Sure, we talk about passwords. Do not share passwords. I mean, do not share passwords over emails, phones, all these things.
Right.
I mean, text. Text actually is safer than other apps, but always make sure someone else have access to your password management system. In case something happened, the loved ones can connect, but that way should be very secure. So we talked about it a lot. Many people may ask, how can we share? There are a couple ways. Traditional ways, you can have a notebook, write it down, put it in a safe box. You and your loved one has a key, so that's it, your kids. One of my friends actually suggested that, which I really like it. So he has it in a notebook, one notebook with all passwords. Couple pages for his wife with instruction. If I'm not around, you do this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down, and couple pages for the kids. His kids are like 18 and 21, even though they're on that age. He wrote an instruction in case they need help on what they need to do with the money, how do they pay off the house, if they have to, in incidents, what they need to do. So that's one way. Second way are the newer way, password management, as I mentioned it last time. I'm using LastPass, but there are many good ones: Apple, iCloud, Google, Keeper, 1Password, all those.
So what are those exactly?
They call password management. This idea came, I think, a couple years ago. We were talking about it in 2011. One day, password going to be a very critical thing, because we may have more than 100 things with different passwords. How can we manage that? It's going to be very hard. Even if you have a notebook, you have 10 pages of passwords now. So it's hard. So password management idea came up with like LastPass. What they do is you log into the password management, very secure. It has a username and master password. You set up that master password. Then it asks you to set up a multi-factor authenticator. Usually they don't allow you to do it with the phone. You have to do it with code, app. So you have to install the Authenticator app, which we're going to talk about that in the next session as well.
Okay.
So Authenticator apps, there are many of them as well. So they give you a code, and that code expires every 30 seconds. So once you log in, you put that code, you log in, and then you get in. With LastPass or the other ones, if I log in from my friend's house, or let's say I'm in Orange County and I'm going to LA or into Europe or South America or anywhere, Asia, if I log in from those areas, even if I have the authenticator, everything, it won't allow me. It will email to the master email you put on file and tell you someone with this device is trying to connect from a different location that you usually connect. Do you allow them? You have to click allow to allow you to connect. But if you get that email, means someone's trying to hack you. So say do not allow and block them.
Okay.
So now, what exactly these apps does? When you get in, it has a format. With most of them, you can get family plan, premium plan, or business plan. I get the family plan. Family plan allows you to share it with other than you, with 5 other people. So you can share it with your employees, with your immediate family, whoever you trust. Mainly with your family. So my emergency contact is my wife. My wife, I share it with her. So then you design it very properly. It's like your file cabinet. You have folders. In each folder, you say, for example, finance. All my banks going under finance, business. Everything related to business, go to business, bills, whatever you want to call it. For example, like electricity, water, all those things. So those you created, and you can share any of them with those people that in your account. So if you want to share 1, 2, 3, that you can share some of them with them. But your main passwords, if you don't share, you're the only person that have access. You still can have emergency contact. You define that emergency, what you need to do. We can continue talking about the password management a little more in our next session, because I know we're limited on time today. But then we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about Authenticator as well.
Okay. So if you're interested in seeing anything else that Arash and I have been talking about, please look at previous Senior Citizens Forum shows, and you will find some of that information.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arash. Now we're back with Venus, and we're going to continue on. We talked about HMOs and PPOs and how important they are to the healthcare system, and how important the medical groups are to our healthcare.
Yes.
And that also includes hospitals in there. Okay.
Absolutely.
And what the hospitals take. And when you're looking at a medical group and you're looking at a primary care doctor, you want to also make sure that the hospital that you want to go to is covered, or your medical group is associated with that particular hospital.
Yes.
I'm always asked that question. So when I work with my clients, I go through and I look to make sure that that plan that we're selecting is associated with the hospital. From experience, I find sometimes there's no hospital being covered under that. Yeah. And it's a real easy mistake to make.
It is. And a lot of times that's where some people start. So some people might not have a primary care doctor in mind, or maybe they haven't seen somebody, for years. Some folks that were still working, and then now they're transitioning over to Medicare. They say, gosh, I haven't seen a doctor in quite some time, but I want to make sure that I have X, Y, and Z hospital. And so sometimes as a broker, you kind of start there and you say, okay, well, what affiliation does that hospital have? And so there's a couple of different things. And, some places, some medical groups, they have direct contracts with hospitals. Here, for example, we have 3 hospitals that are directly contracted with us. We have an integrated system. So we know that for sure, without a doubt, we would be able to send our patients, and our patients know that they can go to the 3 hospitals that are specific to our network. Not all medical groups are that way, though. Other medical groups have contracts with hospitals. So they might have certain contracts with various different hospitals in a certain area, or maybe there's more than one depending on the region that they cover. And so yes, that is very important. Again, finding the right medical group, the right IPA assignment is equally as important as finding the right health plan, and making sure that the facilities that you are looking to access are a part of that network is crucial, because that's where you're going to go when you need to seek services. And one of the unfortunate things that I've seen happen more often than not is when somebody does go into the emergency room and they might think that their local hospital is contracted or part of their network because maybe their doctor is directly across the street from the hospital, and they come to a rude awakening when they have to get admitted to the hospital and they say, no, you know, I'm sorry, Mrs. Worthen, but this hospital is not contracted for you. You're not a part of that network. We're going to have to send you across town because that's the hospital that you're contracted with. And when you're sick and you're in the emergency room, Lord only knows that you don't want to be there to begin with. And then to have to get transferred to another hospital, you know, I go back to my situation with my mom, and that was something that we had experienced because she started to need specialty services. And so she needed to have some procedures done, and they were sending us clear across town. And it took us 2 hours just to get to the doctor, yet alone to sit there, do the procedure, and be able to come home.
Yeah. Now, I have a client this last year signed up for a particular medical group. We put the medical group in. We put him in a plan. The carrier changed the doctor because when we assigned him to a doctor, it didn't show that his, they call a panel, or his practice was taking any new patients.
Right.
They assigned him to someone who wasn't part of the hospital. They assigned him to, he couldn't even get urgent care. And it was a nightmare for him. And he didn't realize all he had to do was call me and I would have gotten it straightened out, okay? And then we did get that taken care of for him. But he was in a nightmare. And he was so down on that particular insurance company that when we reassigned him, he had to a new insurance company, the same thing happened again. And we got it straightened out instantly. Are you feeling better?
I just choked.
Okay. I mean, so these things do happen. And as a broker, we're able to take care of that. But we couldn't believe that it happened twice.
And it does. And it's unfortunate, but excuse me. Again, knowing your subject matter expert, knowing your broker, or even if you were assigned to a medical group, being able to have, excuse me, that patient advocate is something that's crucial, because when things like this happen, you want to know who to contact. And, you know, some medical groups have it, some don't, but most of them do. Having a patient advocate that you can refer to and give them a call and say, hey, I received this letter from the health plan, or, you know, I've received this notification, is very important, because then they can guide you and tell you what it is that needs to be done.
So it's very important. And one of the things that I want, before we finish up today, I want to talk about how medical groups and insurance companies, health insurance companies, are rated. So in my area of the Medicare insurance, I know they're what they call star rated.
Right.
Okay, and they do it on a 5-point system, and every year the criteria changes.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. So when you're asked by your medical group or you're asked by your insurance carrier to fill out one of those crazy surveys, like I'm going, not another survey, okay? But it's important to them. And you can want to tell us why it's so important to the medical groups? And
there's a lot of factors that come into play. So one thing is that, you know, you may hear your primary doctor ask you to get certain annual wellness check, to come in at least once a year and to get checked out. Now, all of these different annual exams, they do lead up into reporting that the medical group does back to the health plan. The health plan then will report over to the Center for Medicare Services, and that is part of how this star rating comes about. There's a number of other metrics as well, but this is basically the flow of that. what ends up happening is you're able to see the quality of the patient's care through the medical group and the documentation of it to make sure that they're providing adequate services to their patients. Then you're able to see that the health plan is reporting on that to Medicare, and what Medicare ends up doing is they basically reward that health plan in the sense of the funding that's provided. Now, what does that do for a patient, for a Medicare beneficiary? Well, that translates into more money that the health plan can then put back into the benefits that are offered to their beneficiaries. So it does come full circle. You know, when the medical groups and the doctors are, you know, kind of hounding some of these people to get in and to get that annual wellness check done, you know, it's for multiple reasons. One, they want to make sure that your health conditions, have they changed? You know, is there something more that needs to be done to make sure that they're providing you with the right health care that you need? Two, we want to make sure that we are identifying our population, and if our population needs more funding for the health services that they're receiving, we want to make sure that we're documenting properly and that we're getting that information up to the powers that be, if you would. So again, that can then translate into the amount of services that that health plan can extend and offer to the beneficiaries.
I know also the medical groups are great, are on a grade, similar type grading.
Right. They are in a similar type grading, and that is something that you can look up, and it's part of, you know, public information that you can look up and see how it is that they, how they score, what their scoring is.
Because I know right now I'm seeing, like UCLA has all their banners out that they're number one or they're number two, or you know, rated in the country or rated in the state, because your state's going to have different ratings within it also. But it's real important you look it up. I think it's also very important that you look up on the internet. If you find a medical group that you think that may be good for you, you look up the medical group, see what they have to say. You know, look up their providers that they have within it, physicians. Each one, I find that each different medical group calls it something slightly different. So you're just going to have to work with that. But then go outside of the medical group and research online what people are saying about their experiences. And I find a lot of complaints comes with staffing, and it's not the doctor. So you got to evaluate that.
Yeah, with medical groups, you know, each medical group or IPA, which is independent physicians, which is again another population, another network of doctors that you would have access to, network of services that you would have access to. With each one of them, there's different services and there's different almost perks, if you would, that they provide. And I'll give the example of a referral. We were talking about referrals earlier, and with some groups, it's very difficult, it's very challenging to get a referral because it's a long process to get that referral. Now, when you think about it, a referral is something that, again, needs to be received in a timely manner. Why? Because your primary care doctor has now identified an additional need, an additional concern that they may have for your health conditions. So you're going to want to be able to see that specialist or to have that procedure done as soon as possible. And having a timely referral is crucial. Now, in the Medicare world and population, many have been able to build a system where you're able to walk out with a referral that same day. So as you go to see your primary care doctor and they're able to, you know, again, these different EMR systems, electronic medical record systems, they're able to issue that request right then and there. It's not days, weeks, you know, months down the line that you're getting this referral. You're walking out the same day with the referral for the majority of services. And in the case where they can't do same-day referral, then you want to know what that time frame looks like. And you want to be a part of a medical group that has a timely referral process.
So you want to check this out. It's real important. We are out of time. Okay. Thank you so much for participating with me today. It's been great. I hope sometime in the future we can have you come back on the show. This has been fun. I always have fun doing this. And thank you, everyone, for watching. You have the information is posted and how to get a hold of Venus or how to get a hold of myself. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. We love to hear from you and your comments. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.